Hi, everybody. I am super excited because today we have a very special guest here. She is a certified nutrition coach, certified master coach, Susie Bode.
Thank you. Glad to
Yeah.
be here.
She's been using our app, the See How You Eat app, with her clients for some time, and she is seeing amazing results. So, whether you're on your personal nutrition and food journey or you work in the field of health and nutrition, you might want to stay along and listen what Susie has to share. Do you have some typical client that you usually support in your coaching practice? Are there some common struggles that they have that come up around eating or eating habits? Is there some similarities?
So it's so interesting to me because I just came out as a coach, that I support people in their health journeys and really kind of neat how the certain type of person was more drawn to my coaching style. So it tends to be women that are between the ages of 40 and my gosh, I work up to 70, 80-year-old women. So later, maybe second, third chapter women for sure, premenopause, perimenopause, and beyond, that have struggled with their body image and their eating habits the majority of their life. And they are just so tired of the same patterns of not feeling well, not feeling energized, not feeling confident, and just getting stuck in their own thoughts and, really helping them to undo those patterns. That is really the typical, person that I work with, client that I work with, and the ones that we find I just get the most incredible outcomes with. And the outcomes, the reason I say they're incredible is because that's what they wanted. They want freedom, they want food freedom, they want freedom from their negative thoughts, they want freedom from the diet culture, they want freedom from all the things that they have learned about their body being, not good or not beautiful, and the way that they're eating being right or wrong, good or bad. We completely undo those old narratives and rewrite the narratives through, step-by-step process. And using pictures with their food has been so very, very helpful. I don't know if you want me to jump into that piece of the journey, or you want to
Well,
have a more specific question.
yeah, that's a very good point. Before we jump into that, I'd actually like to hear more about. Well, if I calculated correctly, these journeys, these like history for many of these people, your clients, it has been a very long period in life. This
Yeah.
unsatisfaction, right?
Absolutely, and it could come from different places. So, um, I'll use an example here of a client that I worked with that when she was young, somebody commented that her body was, "Oh, your body is bigger than your sister's." And, question like, "Oh, does that mean something's wrong with my body that my sister's is better than mine?" And it started this narrative. And then maybe people making comments, "Oh, if you eat all of that dessert, you're going to continue to gain weight." And just a narrative that keeps repeating throughout the life, and always trying to change the there. So it's a very interesting piece that the narrative in their brain is what they end up trying to change, because when they can change that, their habits become much easier to change. So the idea of was there really something wrong with your body when you were younger, or are you just built differently? Is bigger bad, or is smaller better, or like why have we created that narrative? And really breaking free of those narratives and how it reflects on how we eat. We think that when we have some dessert, that is so bad and there's so much shame and guilt, and then we change the feelings based on the reflection of, how would you like to eat? What is it that you would like to achieve in the way that you eat and the way that you feel about yourself, and how they're not separate. They're completely reflective of one another. And when you begin to change the narrative in your own brain and your own thoughts, and really question what you have been taught about your body and the way that we eat, then that's when the real change and the true transformation happens. We always think transformation is, oh my gosh, they lost 50 pounds and they are transformed. They lost 100 pounds and there's this major transformation. Well, the transformation has to happen within their thoughts and their feelings and the way that they talk to themselves. Then the physical transformation happens secondary. And sometimes we have that flip-flopped. We want to change our body first in hopes that it will change the narrative. And that's not the way that our human, brain and psyche work. We hope that it does, but it's not sustainable. So
Yes. But hey, now I need to ask because I don't hear anything about nutrition here. You're talking about the mind here, like these narratives. So how do those pictures step in then when you're actually doing the coaching from the mental side first?
that is a fantastic question. So when my clients have the ability to take pictures with zero judgment from them, zero judgment from me. We just look at it as data. So let's say they take breakfast, lunch, dinner, and they have 2 or 3 snacks throughout the day. So they take all of those pictures. Then we look at them or they look at them and we say, where do you feel is a good place to start to change? So then they choose, let's say breakfast. Well, what do we want to change about breakfast? Well, I'm literally just having a muffin and coffee and I'm starving by, mid-morning. And then I eat lunch on the go. And then I just eat so much in the evening because I was so hungry and, all the things. So we start with just using that data and we, look at the balanced breakfast. Are we getting enough protein in the breakfast? Because if you don't have enough protein, then your whole day is going to feel like you're trying to catch up. You're trying to catch up with what you're eating. And they're like, oh my gosh, if I look at my meals, I do not have any protein in breakfast at all. I have a little bit at lunch. And then at dinner, I'm like eating and eating and eating. And then I go, to watch TV at night or go and sit down at night. And all I want to do is eat. Then they start shifting protein towards the beginning of the day, and then they find that they eat so much more balance throughout the day, and then they're not so ravenously hungry in the evening. So the pictures are a story and a self-reflection of like what is going on throughout the day. And then you make small adjustments. We make small adjustments. So the pictures are absolutely vital. I remember hearing this piece, and I think it's so, so, so important is that we humans, every single one of us, are terrible at knowing what we eat and how much. Every single one of us, whether we're a coach or a registered dietitian or, a fitness professional, we are so bad at knowing what we're eating and how much we're eating. And there's nothing right or wrong about it. So pictures are such an easy self-reflective of like, oh, I'm not eating any protein, or oh my gosh, I ate that whole bag of potato chips and it was so mindless. So what do I want to do differently? So
So
yeah,
in
I
a
hope.
way, it's just uh, it's part of your coaching as from the start, or do you take it a little bit later on the journey that you start with the mental side, and then once you enter the picture taking mode, it helps people kind of break their autopilot that they never maybe paid attention to what they eat, and suddenly the pictures make them stop.
Well, that's a good, yeah.
Well, in a way, a stop and reflect, or so.
I love the way you framed that because it is true that it's different for everybody. And I know that's such a, common statement, but it really is. So I work with people through my gym. And so that's a little bit of a different client than my normal client, which would be, the middle-aged woman that, has struggled most of her life, which is many of us. But when you work with someone who's kind of level two, meaning like they're really taking care of themselves the best they can, they're just kind of stuck in the whole like, oh, I just don't know what to eat. I don't know how much to eat. Those people tend to start a little sooner on the pictures because just the awareness and the consciousness of what they're eating and how much they're eating and that self-reflection is a really great next step. But if you really don't, if you've had a very difficult relationship with food and eating and body image and feelings, we do not start with pictures because they have focused so much on food and the control of food, both, a lot of food and less food, that when we jump right in with pictures of food, sometimes it kind of still cycles that same thought of like, that's good, that's bad, that's right, that's wrong, that's too much, that's those kind of things. So I do, as a coach, really find the right time for the pictures. And the way you know is trial and error. Is this helpful or is this not helpful? I had a client that we absolutely did not start. And she was very open and honest. And she's like, if we focus just on food in this moment, I'm gonna spiral. And like she knew. And so we would reintroduce, ideas. And then I said, how about the idea of pictures? And she said, I never tried that. Well, that was the game changer for her when we did introduce pictures, and, it was probably a couple months into the journey, and she was making slow changes with her nutrition and her habits and thoughts and different things, but, when she wanted to hone in a little bit more is when the pictures were like and she saw shame show up too, she didn't wanna take a picture of her evening snack, and that was a conversation piece of like, "Tell me about that. Tell me why you feel you didn't wanna take that picture, what feelings were showing up?" So it even, the idea of taking pictures really helped her to say, I still have some shame and guilt, and I want to undo that. I don't want to feel those feelings anymore. I want to eat with confidence and freedom. So, yeah, to answer your question, there is different times of the journey that, are the most beneficial for each person. That's the benefit of working with a coach that is skilled and non-judgmental and just a safe space. But it can also be utilized, on your own. I've used it myself, the pictures for sure.
Yeah. But hey, you said that for this client, it was you kind of like slowly talked to the way like should we start trying the pictures, and then you said that it was a game changer for her.
Mhm.
So like did she have the past of trying different apps and calorie counting just like most of the people probably have, or what like why was it such a big game changer for her?
It was a huge game changer because she has counted calories and macros and, Weight Watcher points was her big thing, for her whole pretty much her whole adult life. She's like, "Since I was 12." I think I went to my first Weight Watchers meeting when I was 11 or 12 is what she told me and shared with me. She goes, "I don't want any numbers or anything attached to food anymore. Like, I don't want that. It just feels so not good." She's like, "I wanna eat, and I just wanna eat with freedom, but I also wanna eat consciously." And that's when I recommended, "Try pictures and tell me what you feel." And she was like, it was amazing because she could see reflecting what she was eating without having any numbers or points attached to any of it. And, I respect that sometimes somebody might feel numbers are helpful, but is that something that you can sustain for the rest of your life? Because I encourage people to practice habits that they can sustain for the rest of their life. If they're going to put the time and energy into a coach and or, any platform, when you don't use it anymore, what's your next skill? Like, how are you
Yeah.
going to continue that? How are you gonna understand what you want from it? And, what you want from yourself? Like, what do you want? Because everybody has an end game, but what do we do after the end game, And that was so important to my client is I wanna know how to do this without any counting. I don't wanna count, She goes, "I have 2 kids and a full-time job. I don't wanna count." Um, but again, that was her personal choice, but I always recommend do practice something that you can continue to do when you're done, so to speak, or when you've
Yeah.
reached your
Yeah. Yeah.
goal or you're in a good space.
So
Don't
was
get
it
in space.
So what was it for her? Was it more like seeing what was on her plate, or was it the regular eating rhythm that it kind of supports you towards the regular eating rhythm, or was it that a reflection, like you said, that understanding that not wanting to take a picture is also learning experience about yourself, or was it a combination of all of these, or
Yeah, it was definitely a combination of all of them because she noticed some feelings pop up. She also noticed when she wasn't eating very much protein. She noticed when she didn't have a single vegetable on her plate for a day or two. She also noticed that it made her more conscious of what she put on her plate. She knew she was going to take a picture of it. and she wanted to be more aware and conscious. So it brought attention and consciousness to eating. And we also learned that part of her journey was she ate mindlessly and unconsciously for a reason. That goes into my next level, psychology kind of piece, mental um, kind of patterns, so to speak, which might not be so helpful to go into right now, but it really did bring out all of those things. Mindfulness, knowing what she wanted to add more of and less of, and also just really becoming conscious of eating regularly without a doubt. 'Cause she'd skip breakfast, she'd eat a small lunch, and then she would just gorge the rest of the evening because she's so far behind in her eating. And when she ate regularly, her energy, honestly, her mental well-being, it was the most. I had not seen her smile so much when she started eating regularly. She just was just such a better she said she was such a better mom.
Yeah, but this is a very important point. This is actually the topic I love about regular eating. Uh, our official company name is Health Revolution. And the
Mhm.
reason why I named the company Health Revolution is that when I've personally learned about the power of regular eating, it not just changed my eating habits, it changed my energy, it changed the way what kind of person I am, it changed the way I go out for a run, what kind of results I get by running. I also have a history of not eating enough or being told that I'm too big. I guess we all been there, more or less. So the getting the aha moment of the power of regular eating, it totally changed everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the goal, that's the journey. Like, that's the space. I don't like the word goal, I always say the space. That's the space we wanna live in, is the space where we feel, free, that we feel energetic, that we feel, empowered by our own decisions and choices, and that we're the ones in control, that it's us that's in control and not something else or somebody else's narrative, about us. And I mean, the world we live in, at least my country, the narrative had been for so, so, so long that the smaller you are, the better you are. The less you eat, the more in control you are. And if you're not on a diet, what are you on? And so that narrative is so destructive, and it's just such a dangerous space for women to live in, for anybody to live in. Men live in it too, sometimes. And it's just a dangerous space because it steals our control, and it makes us feel weak and always fighting for something that we really don't even know what we're fighting for. A smaller
That's a good
body.
point. That's a good point. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a small body. So what? So we could be weak and frail? How about being strong and empowered and energized and, at a healthy weight so we don't have chronic conditions, and that we can move freely and we can feel, the way that we want to feel. We get to decide that, not our culture, not our the outside forces, for sure.
Yeah. So, well, hey, if we think about all this has changed just by taking photos of meals, like a lot of aha moments of different kind taking place. So if you still recall the time that you didn't use See How You Eat app in your work, like what has changed now, like what's the difference now?
From before I used it until now, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like the time your coaching didn't have these
Yeah.
photographs, and now that it is integrated at some point into your coaching.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I searched long and hard, to be honest with you. I tried to make up my own kind of pictures and put them together, and it was just clunky. And my brain thrives on simplicity, and so I assume others do too, but my brain thrives on simplicity. And so it just felt like a simple tool, to capture what I know I wanted to help my clients capture. And so for me, it was a peace of mind that it did just that, and that it was a very simple tool for them to use as well as me. And prior to that, it was literally just kind of fumbling through and trying a whole bunch of different things. And sure, I tried MyFitnessPal and some of the other ones that count calories. I'm like, I don't know what to do. We need some type of accountability with what we're eating and how much we're eating. But I don't want to count calories, and 99% of my clients don't want to count calories. So, what can we use? So, I think it's easy. Like it really is. It's a very easy. Most people are like, really, Suze, is that all? Take pictures and then I can just send it to you or it's connected to you. Um, yeah, I mean it's literally one step because I can share this piece too is when you click on the app, the See How You Eat app, and you click on, let's say, breakfast, it literally connects to your camera. You don't even have to connect to your camera. It goes right to your camera. So it's literally just
Like,
one little tap.
yeah,
So
one tap. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, how did you came across then? See how you eat app. If you were searching for it, did somebody, your clients, tell you about it, or?
from what I recall, I remember, because I am precision nutrition, if anyone's heard of that, that is my certification, both level 1 and level 2 as a master coach. And somebody had mentioned, like, does anybody know an app where you can just take pictures of your food? And someone mentioned the app, and this was probably 4 years ago. Um, and I was like, I'm gonna check it out. And when I did, I was like, this is exactly what I personally was looking for. And so that's how I got connected with it. And
And
I've actually shared it with others. I'm like, if you're looking for an app that's so easy that it's definitely beneficial. I would be, yeah, it's it's such a personal thing, and there's so many different platforms out there, but I have not found one that was so easy. It's just easy.
yeah, and
I'm an
now,
ADHD brain.
in the spring when we met after a long break, because we have met before, so I introduced you the pro version, so where it makes it even more easier for a coach to connect with their clients. So
Yeah, honestly, and it actually made it even easier for my clients because they don't have to send me their daily log.
yeah,
Literally just take the picture. That's like the only step that they have to do because then I could go into the pro version and it's already there. Everything's there and I can look at the week in view and everything else. So, um, yeah, it's actually easier for my clients.
yeah. So is there a special feature that your clients love the most? Is there something, or is it the taking the picture, the meal reminders? What is it? Is it just a bit, or?
It's the pictures. I mean, it is just the simplicity of the use. There's so many steps with most apps of like entering your food or um, entering your whatever, all the different ingredients, not just the meal, but all the ingredients in foods. Like they're like, it's just click, that's it, and then I see the picture and you see the picture and I can see, what I need to see with it. And I will share this piece too, is that I have heard many, many a times people saying, "Oh, I didn't want to take a picture of that." And it was an opportunity to kind of dig into that. Like, why didn't you want to take a picture of that? What is that telling you? What is that kind of speaking to you about? So they love that piece of it too, of the idea of like it speaks to them. If you don't want to take a picture of it, like what is that telling you? You
So
know,
bit of a horse whisper there.
yeah, a little whisper. Yeah, a
Yeah,
whisper a whisper from the picture gods of like this is you don't want to take a picture of this. Oh, I don't. Why not? Like what is this telling me? Do I want to eat this in secret? Okay. You can choose to do that. You could choose to do that, but yeah.
yeah. So
That's a free option.
yeah.
The whisper
So
god
if we
whisper.
would have any professionals here listening to us talking, so what you want to tell them about the use of the See How You Eat app or the pro version? Is there anything more than you already told?
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, it's one of those platforms that I would highly recommend at least giving it a try. Because sometimes you really know what you need to use for yourself as a coach as well as what benefits your clients the most. And if you can just give it a try to see, does this actually help my clients in the way that I know that they need to be helped and that they want to be helped? And sometimes the only way you're going to know is to try something. And again, the simplicity of it, it's the learning curve is really, I mean, if I could learn it, in pretty much instantly just by clicking through it, there's really no learning curve with it. Maybe a couple little features, but the simplicity of it. So, I will always focus on that when it comes to my coaching is the simplicity. So if other coaches feel the same, it would be definitely worth trying it out.
So, what do you think? We do get sometimes feedback from coaches or clients that, but I would really want this app to give more feedback to my clients or me as a consumer.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely, I always like clarity. Clarity is always helpful, and ask what kind of feedback do you feel like would be helpful? So let's say I just want to know how many calories, I'm eating, for example, we'll kind of use that. I look at hand portions as opposed to calories. So, hand portions will give you a really great general idea of calories. So using those pictures to reflect back to you, what other feedback do you feel that you might need? And, and breaking it down from there. So, I mean, honestly, the clarity about what type of feedback, because sometimes people don't even know what feedback they want. So when they know, they can get feedback from themselves that they don't need AI or some, technology to give them. Um, that you couldn't do a chat GPT search with, or that you couldn't do, like, what are other options of vegetables that I could eat? You could put that into chat GPT or into Google, and they'll give you a list of different things. So getting clarity on the feedback that you actually want, because I can guarantee you that you're going to get the feedback that you want from the pictures if you know what you're asking and what you're looking for.